How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good.
Now, that email address is capable of, it does have a Google account attached to it. So if you're sharing it with somebody who has a google.com email address, whether it's google.com or it's a Google business account, that person will be able to edit the file. If you're sharing it with somebody or an email address that does not have a google.com address, they will not be able to do anything but view the file. So they won't have the same access to the drive as somebody else will. So there are limitations to sharing it outside of the organization or outside of a Google account. Google only allows somebody with a Google account to do editing. It just, that kind of makes sense. But it isn't restrictive enough to where you can't share outside of the IPWMan address. I recommend kind of sticking to the IPWMan accounts just for that kind of, keeping within the organization kind of method, because you're sharing documents with the organization. But that's up to you. However you're comfortable. You always encourage people to use what you're comfortable with. Otherwise, you won't use it at all. And again, Sarah's probably the one that's going to be organizing the files, creating folder structures, things like that. Now, here's the drawback. Because you're using individual accounts that have individual storage, you're not going to automatically see a folder or a file that when you log in. You're only going to see things that have been shared with you directly or with the organization. So when you go into this shared with me folder, things might not show up automatically. You might have to have accessed it at one point or another. I've had it shared with you directly or searched for it at one point or another. That's the downfall of having these individual accounts. I can tell you that because when we were still Antics, we used Google Share Drive like you have for years. And because we used the same folders and we uploaded files individually to them all the time, then when we went to the shared with me folder, all of the folders showed up for us. And it was easy just to share it and put files back and forth into them and access the files. It just became secondhand. So once you get used to it, it gets pretty easy. At first, it might be a little bit getting used to. So it's just something that at first you might have trouble with, but after a while you'll get used to. You could always rely on people in the organization like Sarah, or can drop me a line if you have questions. But it does get it is a really handy tool for having one location for all of your files that you can access on a regular basis. So any questions?
Got a question, Tom? Tracking changes, is that going to show up on the Google Docs and the Word docs?
That's a good question. Google Docs, I believe when you're making changes, it does have a certain revision history, but that's something I could look into and get back to you on. Usually it'll show you when the last changes were made. It might not show you what those last changes are. That's something that there might be a limitation on.
So internally, we might just want to make sure we all convert it to Word and just do it that way if we're doing a shared review of a document, so we can track all everybody's changes.
Like I said, if you download it from Google Drive, it will save it as a docx file so that you have a copy of a Word document every time you save it, even if you created it in Google Drive.
Okay.
So it still would show the track changes?
Like I say, I don't think it will tell you what the changes were, but it will tell you when the activity. So if you notice here, there's an activity tab on any folder or file. And you can see that when it was created, when changes were made, and if it was deleted. Like tell you the exact time it was changed. But it won't tell you the exact change that was made.
But if you manually went in and let's say changed all of the things that you added to like a blue font, it would show that.
I don't think the individual change will show up. But let's test it just to see, because this is your activity side. So let's go ahead and create another file. Oh, I don't want to create that. Anytime you're in a full file too, there's a big blue share button in the right-hand corner if you can't see that. All right, so created that. Takes a few seconds for this. All right, so it shows this was created. Close this side. I'm gonna open it again. All right, so it's let me know that editors, because this folder has allows the organization to edit, which means the files can be edited, that everybody can see this and see the history. I know that when I believe it does actually show you who's working on what too. It's been a while since I've worked on files in this, and because Sharp doesn't use Google Drive for too many things. I use it personally still. It also gives you a lot of useful tips too when you're working with it, which is very helpful. So it might be too soon since I made the last change. Now, like I said, I don't think it will show you the individual edits unless you're both two different users are using the same one. Then it will show you. Let's say you're logged in and working on a file, and someone else logs in and accesses that file. It will show you that another user is currently in that file and where they're at and what they're doing. Like they'll show you their cursor and where they're at, so you know somebody else is accessing it. But as far as the exact changes that were made, I don't think it keeps a log of it. But that is something that I'd like to look into a little bit further, because we've never really had to do that before when we were using Google Drive. But this log will just show you that an item was created. It will show you that the edits were made, and that's about as far as it goes.
Hey, Tom,
Yes.
as a test, let's go ahead and download that and convert it to a Word doc, and then go to your physical application Word, open
Okay.
it, and then do the track changes there.
Sure. So I already have a copy that I downloaded from the previous one. I'm going to open that now.
So the reason that we asked Tom to do this demo for us is that I think it's nice to have a shared location where all of our files will go. So like when Ed's term was up as president, he gave Elias a 1 terabyte jump drive with all of those documents. And now when Elias's term is up, he's gonna have a 1 terabyte jump drive of Ed's and then a 1 terabyte drive of his own to give to what I can only assume to be Mark Runyon. And then after Mark Runyon's done, then he's gonna have 3 drives to give to Graham, who's gonna be the next president. And then he'll give all that back to Ed when Ed becomes the next president. But, so I think that in order to avoid those 1 terabyte jump drives from all over everywhere, it'd be nice just to have one central location where all of this stuff is located. So, I mean, the other reason is God forbid, Elias gets hit by a bus, like we've lost all that then, like, so where, next, like, where do we access that?
I got you.
So, that's the intent of this presentation, and just so everyone else knows, like, because some people don't have copious amounts of IPW man files, but like the same with Sarah, like one day she's not gonna wanna be our executive assistant anymore, so all her documents are gonna be somewhere. You know, they may as well be on a cloud account where we can, they're there then, you know? And then two, no one can be accused of taking secret government files home with them to their.
Gotcha.
Barb's still on.
I don't know. I could see Mark doing that. All right, so everybody see my Word screen too as well?
Yes.
So this is the file that I downloaded previously, that the first test that I did, and I downloaded it as a docx file. I didn't do much in terms of creating anything in the document, but this is the exact file I downloaded. It does download it as a protected view, which means it's read only when I first downloaded it. But I can enable editing and make whatever changes I want. Oh, close the window for whatever reason, because I made it a. Let me reshare my screen here. So now I can make any changes I want to this document. I'll do a little bit of formatting just to see how it translates into Google Doc. I have to use Word and Excel for a lot more things now, and I have to get used to saving when I'm way too used to Google just auto saving everything for me. All right, I closed and saved that. I'm going to go back to Google here. Getting rid of this one here. What? Here's the test document. I just drag and dropped it on my hard drive. And this is the, all right. Once I uploaded a document file from Word doc, it is basically telling me that I uploaded a Office document, and it's giving me a tour of or some of the features of editing a docx file. So it's kind of gotten better at this over the years. There's less formatting changes, there's better conversions. It's showing me that this is a docx file, that kind of things, which is really nice. So you're not going to really see a lot of differences. And it's keeping the format. It's not changing it to some sort of, it used to be that there was a specific format for Google Docs, and now they've gotten away from that. They want you to be able to have that cross compatibility between the two files. So I'm not going to do the tour, but if you use this, I recommend taking the tour so that you can see some of the features they've given you for editing docx files. So now I can make more changes if I want to. And like I said, it's auto save, so just close this. And it'll show, like I said, it just shows me that I uploaded the file and I edited the file. Any other questions?
Thanks, Tom, that was perfect.
You said, like, the one area you're probably going to be using a lot is the search up here at the top, where you're going to look for most of the files that you may have uploaded. Most of them, again, probably gonna be uploaded by Sarah, so she's gonna be able to see most of the files, but from other people, because they're shared with them or in a shared folder, you might have to search for the files that you're looking for. Good. All right.
Thanks, Tom.
Again, reach out to me anytime you have any questions. Mark and Sarah have my information as well, and I think a lot of you have my information as well. We are currently working on the website project and moving along quite well. But happy to answer any questions that you have.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time, Tom.
Everybody have a good day.
You too.
Who am I transferring this back over to?
Implement Zoom. Or if you disconnect, it'll automatically put it back to us.
Okay, sounds good.
So the only way to access this is to have an IFWA email. She should have an email address.
You have one, you just probably don't know.
I don't know.